Hi there, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of how to cast on for arm knitting. So I'm using 4 strands of Cascade 220 all held together at the same time, and I'm going to make a scarf that's 10 stitches wide. So to prepare, I'm making 10 loops around my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means I have enough to do a long tail cast on, so I can hold on to this point. I'm going to drop my tail and make a quick slip knot here, and I do that by making a loop, and I pull the yarn through that first loop, and then I tighten up the noose around the slip knot, and that goes onto my right hand. Okay, so the way I have this set up is the tail end, the one that's cut, is hanging towards me, and the yarn pointing at the balls is pointing away from me. So this is my right hand. My left hand is going to go through between the two yarns, so the tail yarn is over my wrist, and then it's going to roll so my palms are both facing up. I'm going to put the yarn from the ball over my left palm. So now I reach into the loop up my wrist, reach underneath the yarn from my palm and pull it through, and slide my thumb through. And I'm tightening up that base loop, and I'm ready to go again. So palm through, rotate and grab the yarn from the ball, slide up my wrist, underneath that yarn, pull it through, and tuck my thumb in. Now the reason why I'm being careful to keep my palm facing up when I grab the loop is so it's set up in the right direction when I come back to knit the next row. Keep coming. Try not to make your loops across the bottom too tight. You want a little bit of spacing in between the stitches. Keep going, tuck your thumb under, tuck your thumb under. Loop, grab the yarn. And if you are using your hand in a different way to pull it on, you just want the yarn coming from the back across the front and then towards the ball. So you're getting it's mounted backwards to the way we normally cast on stitches. They're normally slanted this way. So in this case, they're mounted backwards. I'm just going to finish real quick. And there are multiple ways of casting on. This is just the one that I like the best. I use this all the time for regular knitting as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There's my last stitch. And I have a little bit of a tail left, and that's good. Okay, next step will be actually knitting. And I'm ready to do my first row of arm knitting. I have 10 stitches cast onto my arm using a long tail cast on, and I'm still holding 4 strands of Cascade 220. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to slip my first stitch off completely, so my scarf will have a slipped edge, and then I'm going to pick up the yarn with my right hand with all the stitches cast on. I'm going to reach into the second stitch, reach under that yarn, pull it through, and then pick up the yarn again. Reach into the stitch, tuck my thumb underneath as well. Reach into the stitch, under the yarn with my palm up to the ceiling, pull it through, take off the old stitch, and then grab the new one again. Reach in, underneath with my palm up, pull it through, old stitch comes off, reach in, underneath that yarn, and pull through. Reach in and pull, and as you get a little bit faster at this, you can be trading the hands at the same time. So in and grab, and then transfer in as I'm grabbing it. I'm slipping out and grabbing it again with my other hand. In and transfer. Cool. So I now have 10 stitches all on my left hand. And that's what my first basic row looks like. Cool, hey? Okay, doing my second row of arm knitting, and I'm going to turn it so you're looking over my shoulder as I do this row. I've got 10 stitches on my left arm, and I'm going to come through palm to palm to slip off the first stitch, and then pick up that yarn with my other hand, So I reach into the second stitch, reach underneath the yarn, grab it, stick my thumb in, and take the old stitch off. So reach in and underneath the new yarn, pull it through, put your thumb through, old stitch comes off. In, grab, pull through, old stitch off, and tuck your thumb in. In, grab, thumb in, yarn falling off my counter. In, grab. In, grab. In, grab. In, grab. Oh, and big giant knot of yarn, perfect timing. Last stitch, in, grab it from underneath, and the old one comes off. Expect your edges to look a little bit loose, and that's totally fine. By the time you've knit your whole scarf, you want your chain edges to be nice and long, and they will be about 2 rows high, and your cast on edge should be starting to even out and hang nicely, just like that. Hi, so I have finished knitting my scarf. It is crazy long and awesome, and I am ready to cast off. So I have just almost exactly 10 wraps around my arm, so hopefully that'll make it through and be a long enough tail to finish off my cast off. So this is what I do. I slip the first stitch just as if I was knitting. I go in and knit this next stitch, so I have 2 on my right hand on camera, and I pull the first one over and off completely. I'll give you the back view. So knit a stitch, go in, grab the yarn, 2 stitches on your right hand, the wrist one pulls over and off, just cast off. In, pull, loop, over and off, pull, loop, over and off, drop the yarn, make it loose, no. And I like my cast on and my cast off to be a little bit looser, so I have the option of spreading out my scarf into a larger wrap. Okay, and you see I'm getting close. There's my loop of 1 ball of yarn because I was working from the inside and the outside, so this was the very middle of the ball. So I think I'm going to be sneaky, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in and pull that through, and now what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to loop the remainder of the cascade through, and that'll give me some more multiple strands there to finish off casting off. You could also just completely back off 1 row and then you definitely have enough to cast off, but I'm just going to finish there, and here's my last one with my fake tail and last stitch over and off. Okay, so that has left me with 1 final live loop and a tail of yarn. So I'm going to pull my final live loop small, kind of thumb size. Thumb. It's just on my thumb. And then I'll put the tail through that loop to close it off. I'm going to get rid of all the extra little bits and bumps in there. And it looks wonky, except once I straighten everything out and get this edge to hang as it was, it's beautiful. So there's a little bit of manipulation that needs to happen along the edges, but you get this wonderful, big, giant, crazy, awesome fabric. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's wicked and loose and fancy, and there's certainly enough that you can loop around and tie at the end. Voila, is it not lovely? So that was about 30 minutes. Period. Easy. Done. So fast. And 2 balls of Cascade. So that's about $20 of yarn and half an hour, and you have a wonderful gift to give.